Alrighty, we are back once again. This is Stephen from Death by Dragons with another battle report. I've reflected long and hard after my last battle report and decided that perhaps suicide wasn't, the best option. Instead, I'd try and, learn from my mistakes, which is fine. Had a look at a lot of comments on my video, really appreciate them. Some really great advice. My favourite advice from Adam Padley, who said, elf armies play themselves with little thought. That's the issue with elf lists. It's a no-brainer to play with. Yep. Fuck you, man. Okay. Just kidding. Right, okay. Here we are again. So, Elves versus the Trident Realms. Again. So, this is me versus Arthur, the Frenchman. That's my poor French accent. He's a cool guy. We played again on Universal Battle 2. We've both got the hang of the system now. It works a lot smoother. I think it worked really well. So, the Trident Realm list. New graphic. Very nice. Stolen from the Omnipotent Orkling, which is a really great resource for those of you who are on Facebook. Arthur tweaked his list a little bit because with Cock 19 being out, he's just preempted some of those changes. No point practicing with a list you know is going to change, so Halfling Archers are out because they are irregular, so taking them as allies is impossible. He's still got his 3 hordes of Naiad Ensnarers as the core, one with the Banner of the Griffin now, and one with the Brew of Strength. Banner of the Griffin is a great addition. It's going to make their nerve up to a shit ton. Regiment of Thule, horde of Worm Riders with the Brew of Haste, extending their range to 9. A Mythicon with Bane Chant, 2 Centurions, 1 Siren, 1 Ector. So instead of the Halfling Archers, he's gone for a regiment of City Militia, which I incorrectly called Halfling Militia for approximately 3/4 of the game. There's 1 regiment of not Halflings, and a Halfling Sorcerer, otherwise known as Short Annoying Bastard. So that's Trident Realm list. Elf list, pretty much the same. I adjusted some small things based on some advice, and based on kind of just wanting it not to suck quite as much, and because the list plays itself. Am I right, Adam? Plays itself, doesn't it? It's fine. So 2 regiments of archers. The reasoning being that a horde can get shut down really quickly and the same number of attacks. It is more points, but still got the horde of tall spears. 2 regiments now of forest shamblers, as basically chaff. 2 hordes of Draken Riders, one with the Brew of Strength, one with the Chalice of Wrath, which I forgot about thinking about it, given that one of my units spent. Did they get wavered? They did get wavered. Ah, there you go. An ASB with a Diadem of Dragonkind, a Mage with Bane Chant and Alchemist's Curse. Daenor has gone away because he's useless, and replaced him with an Elven Prince on a horse. The Dragon with the Boots of Levitation. Oh, that's it. That's on my list. Very exciting. Okay, here is the battlefield. So we have 2 height 2 hills, a height 4 forest, 2 height 4 buildings which are blocking, a flat bit of terrain. It's just an obstacle, but not an obstacle. Flat terrain. That's what it is. And 2 height 1 walls. So there we go. That's our battlefield. On to deployment. So here we go. So I won the roll for sides and I deployed at the top. So here we go. On the left we have Dragon Rider Horde number 1 with the archers next to them. Then you've got the Standard Bearer and the Prince. There's the Tall Spears. There is the 1st Forest Shambler Regiment. There's the Mage on the other side of the Tall Spears with the other Forest Shambler Regiment. The Dragons over here on the right flank, along with the other Draken Riders and the Archers. I should mention the scenario was loot. No, push. So with push, you get a token in the center of the field, which is that red token you can see, and then you place D3 tokens on your troops. So we rolled 2. I'll show you where they are in a minute. And the idea is to try and get them across the halfway line. So, on Arthur's side, the Trident Realm of Neurotica. There we have the, what are they called? The Centurions. Naiad Worm Rider Centurions, I want to say. Yeah, them. There's the Worm Riders, who I thought were flying, but they're not, they're just mounted. There you go, you live and learn. There's the Regiment of Thule. There are the not halflings. And there is the halfling on a horse. There is the Ensnarer Horde 1. That's the one with the Brew of Strength. There's number 2 with the Banner of the Griffin. And there's number 3 with the Nothing. There's Ector, who's pretty beastly. Literally. Yeah. There is the Thule Mythicon. And there is the Sirens. That's our deployment. So the loot tokens are here for me on the Tall Spears and on the 2nd Archer Regiment. And they're on these 2 hordes of Ensnarers, along with this one in the middle. So if you have a loot token on your unit, it means you're reduced to speed 5, you can't fly, and you're also immune to Wind Blast, which is incredibly relevant for this battle, as you will see. Okay, so turn 1. I actually forgot to do my vanguarding, and Arthur was very nice to let me do it halfway through his turn. So these are my vanguards. So one Shambler went forward, the other one went forward slightly less. I can't even remember why. Okay, so he had his Mythicon come up here to present a threat to my Draken Riders. Didn't really know what to do about that because I'm not very good. Everything else just kind of shuffled forward. At the double in the middle, and on the right he couldn't because he was crossing a wall. Yeah, that was turn 1 for the Trident Realm. He hasn't really got any shooting, so there's not a lot he could do. Turn 1 Elves. I ignored the threat on the left because I didn't know what to do. I think I just turned them. The Elves, the Archers on the right moved up onto the hill. That was my first real mistake. I couldn't resist the thought of a charge. Because I had chaff on the left, because the Shamblers went in as well. I thought, I'll take out this unit. Not really thinking about the fact that A, it's a hindered charge onto a wall, and B, they've got ensnare, so that's hitting on 5s, which even for a unit like Drakons is not, it's not going to do anything, is it? So that was an error straight off the bat. The other dragon I moved over. Again, I can't really remember why. I really struggled with the dragon. I'll come to that later, but I found it really difficult. I didn't really know what to do with him. Given that he's one of the most powerful units in the game, was kind of a bit not great. Tall Spears moved up. And these Drakons turned to face the Centurion just in case. This was also to block any attempt at a side charge on the Archers. So it's just not quite enough room to fit in. Or at least that was my intention. Okay, that was just a movement. And then we did both Archer units onto this horde, because also by charging in the Drakons and the Shamblers, there's no one for me to shoot at from my lovely hill. So I think I could just about see the corner of this unit. Oh no, I can see them because they're into the woods. It's just that they're in cover. The other Archer Horde, Arthur Regiment, had a nice clear shot. Anyway, 9 points of damage on them, which wasn't enough to do anything. The Shamblers did 2 points of damage, and the Drakons did 5, which, frankly, 18 attacks hitting on 5s. So that's okay, isn't it? That's not bad. Done okay. Trident Realm turn 2. So the Mythicon went into the Drakons, hindered charge, 1 point of damage, but it's 1 point of damage, so they can't fly anymore. So he did what he wanted to do there, which is sensible. I can't really think of what I could have done. What I've done, guess I could have flown over the top, but that would have opened me up to a flank charge from the Thule. So yeah. What else? Right, so that was it. And then the Worm Riders and the other Centurion moved up, as did these dudes, the Thule and the not Halflings. This Halfling Sorcerer went around the corner to offer some support to something, not really sure what. Ector moved up to the edge of the forest and proceeded to crack and maul my dragon. which is a wind blast with damage. You can see the 1 point of damage. The Ensnarer Horde went back into my Shamblers. They regened off the damage I'd done and did 2 damage of their own. And this Horde of Ensnarers went into my Drakons, doing 7 points of damage, healing 3 of their own, and wavering them. So that's just what I deserve, really, frankly, for being so silly with them. That's fine. So then, Elf turn 2. Okay, so we shot into the Militia because they were the best choice I had. I didn't have Stealthy, doing 5 points of damage and wavering them. We went back in on the left hand side. The Drakons went back into the Centurion, doing 7 points of damage and wavering him, which is fine, but still not really what I needed to have them stuck there. The Elven Prince decided to block the other Worm Rider Centurion from attacking the archers or the Horde by doing a noble attack into the front. The Dragon moved over because I still didn't know what to do with him. I thought he might be a bit more use on this side of the field rather than just kind of flying around trees on the other side. The Tall Spears moved across this water. They spent a lot of time swimming in this lake. Being Tall Spears is because they're tall with spears, or because their spears are tall. Inquiring minds want to know. The Mage used Alchemist's Curse on Ector, doing 4 points of damage, which is wrong. He shouldn't have been able to do that because Ector was in cover. And according to the FAQ, as I found out this morning, it means he got +1. There you go, never mind. And then our fight here went back in, so the Shamblers, limp-wristedly slapped them for another 2 damage, which is pointless. And the archers on the hill took another 2 points damage off this horde. Utterly pointless. Yeah, that was Elf turn 2. Trident Realm turn 3. Right, well, it all kicked off now, didn't it, eh? Look at this shit. So, I'm not really sure what happened over here. I think the Centurion went back in and did 3 points of damage. Or possibly the Thule did 3 points of damage. But I'm not quite sure why the Centurion is wavered. Maybe the Dragon shot him last turn? I'm not really sure what happened there. I took these screenshots a little bit out of order. It wasn't quite at the end of turn 3 for Trident Realm, so it might be in my turn 4. In my turn 3, I mean, so I'm not sure what's going on there. I do know that the Huffling wind blasted my Tall Spears, which again is a mistake because they have loot token, so they can't be wind blasted. So more fool me because I let him do this for the next like 3 turns. Actually, that unit should have been a lot more effective in the fight. There's another wind blast, so that's the Kraken Maw, which pushed my mage back and wavered him with 3 points damage. This unit moved up. The Ensnarers moved up and took the loot token from the centre. Right, and then the other Ensnarers went back into the Forest Shamblers, who nobly survived, even on 8 points of damage, which is pretty good for a -14 unit. So nice chaffing there. And the other Ensnarer unit just basically crunched up my dragons and moved forward a little bit. Elf turn 3. Right, now this is when it really went to shit. So, on the left we went back into combat, wavered the Centurion again, another 3 points of damage, which is pretty good rolling. Archers obliterated the halflings, not halflings, city militia, they're people, humans, not halflings. Anyway, they're dead now, so it doesn't matter. The Elf Prince moved backwards, even though he was wavered, he could do that. Half a half moved, which allowed the dragon to charge the Thule in the front, and the other Shamblers flank charged them. So as you can see, we had 13 points of damage on them, which means they needed a double 1 to save. And guess what? They got a fucking double 1, didn't they? This was, let me say, I'm a fan of the ones. I think it's dramatic. I think it's great. adds a lot of excitement to the game, but boy, I wasn't happy right then, because look, the dragon now has a flank charge from the Worm Riders, a front charge from the Thule, the Ensnarer is can rear charge into my Shamblers. This is bad. This is a disaster. That is the wrong time to get level 1. And in the world's longest slap fight, these Ensnarers went back into the Shamblers for another 3 points of damage. And oh no, I went back into them for another 2 points of damage. Something like that anyway. There was a bit of wrist slapping. Another 4 points of damage onto these Ensnarers. No waver, no nothing. I'm just going to regen it back anyway. Trident Realm turn 4. Wow. Well, suffice to say, I was fucking lucky. Again, I've taken the screenshot a bit late. This is actually into Elf turn 4, but I'll tell you what happened. So, the Worm Rider did 2 points of damage onto my what were they called? What are they called? Dracons. Or did he not do any damage? Anyway, whatever he allowed, it allowed me to charge past him the next turn, so I don't think he did very well, put it that way. I think he whiffed. The Worm Rider Centurions went into the dragon, as did the Thule, and they did 10 points of damage, but his nerve held up, which is great. So a nice low roll, which meant that he could counter charge next turn. Super news. Yeah, the other Ensnarers, they went into the back of the Forest Shamblers and obliterated them, which is not surprising. Another Wind Blast, which shouldn't have happened, onto my Tool Spears. You can see pushing the back, that was a 5. He rolled really well, that halfling. And a Siren's Call pulled my Sorcerer, disordering him, which means he couldn't cast next turn. And then these Ensnarers moved up to attack my Archers next turn. Oh, so he thought. So Elf turn 4. The Dracons got their flank charge onto the Worm Riders, killing them, which is great, along with the Elf Prince. The Dragon got a couple of points of damage onto the Thule, but it was enough to get them to roll for nerve again, and off they went. And then he turned to face the onslaught from that horde. Not looking good for him. The Tall Spears move forward again. I can't move at the double because they're moving into a lake, but they just love swimming. The world's longest combat continued with an extra point of damage onto that horde. And then in a very cunning move, I felt it was cunning. These archers moved down the side of this horde so they couldn't be charged next turn, because they got a loot counter and they need to protect it with their very lives. Trident Realm turn 5. Kicking off now. So, Siren moved forward and did a Siren's Call, disordering my Dracons, so they can't fly. This horde unfortunately walked straight over my dragon, which is not that surprising, with 25 attacks, even hitting on 4s. So that was unfortunate. I think on turn 4, I think Arthur actually forgot to roll for this combat, which is why the Shamblers lasted so long. But anyway, he finally remembered to actually roll for damage and obliterated my Shamblers. And another Wind Blast. This one was a Wind Blast 7, as in 7 successes out of 8 dice. Pushed the Tall Spears nearly off the table, which should never have happened. But, you know, there you go. And this horde turned to face the archers with the comment, "You cannot escape me now." Yeah, we'll see about that, boy. Determined not to have that fight. Elf turn 5. So it's critical now, we're Elf turn 5, so let's look at the scoring here. I have got 1, 2, 3 tokens, but they're all in my half, which is 3 points. He has 2 tokens, and they're in 1 in his half, 1 in my half, so he also has 3 points. So we're drawing at the moment. So my focus here was, how can I get a draw or a win? How can I keep the draw or win? So, what happened here? Right, so the archers flank charged the Ensnarer Horde, the Dracons went into their front, and the Prince went into their front, multi-charge, and we obliterated them, which is great. They're really hard to knock off with the level of nerve they've got, but they couldn't quite stand up to all of that, which is great. In a desperate attempt to avoid the halfling that shouldn't have been able to windblast me in the first place, the tall spears move over this way. There's a lot of time wiggling because if you turn on the edge of the board, you can't finish your turn with your troop over the edge, which is really hard with one of these long units. So this was the best I could do. Moving over here. What else happened? Right, the maze moved across the water, and in the most cunning of cunning moves, I'm very proud of this. Please feel free to tell me I'm wrong about it. The archers moved, only moving 5, but the intention was to get them away. So the leader point of the ensnarers, because notice they're not on the hill, so the hill is blocking them. Right, the leader point of the ensnarers cannot see the edge of my unit. A little bit of fiddling around, and I think Arthur reluctantly agreed that he couldn't see the unit. So this meant for turn 6 they couldn't be charged, which is exactly what I needed. So, nice manoeuvring, lads. Yeah, right, Trident Realm turn 6. So, what's happened here is that this Worm Rider's gone into my Horde of Tall Spears, doing 5 damage, which is nice. Was it 5 or was it 3? 3 points of damage. This Centurion went into the front of my archers, and the Ector went into the back. 9 points of damage, which wavered them. But 14 did not kill them. That meant that at the beginning of their turn they could drop the loot counter, which you can see, and at the end of their turn my Dracons could pick it up, which they did. I started to drain life to my mage, and killed him, which is mean. What have they ever done to you? You know. Yeah. These guys move forward, and these guys move forward. So theoretically into my side, and to hopefully kill that archer unit next turn. Hey. Here's Elf turn 6. Right, I'll explain the line in a minute. That's the halfway line. Kind of, it's a bit low, but yeah. So Tall Spears went back into this Centurion, 5 points damage, not enough to do anything. The Prince went into the Halfling, doing 2 points damage, disordering him. It's just for revenge, really, because he was so incredibly annoying. The archers accepted their fate and turned around just in case there was a turn 7, so they could take a charge. I reckon they could probably just about manage to take 1 charge, maybe. Right, and so at the end of the turn, I have, and the Dracomantis picked up their tokens, so I've got 1, 2, 3 tokens, and he has 2 tokens. But he would argue that both were on his side of the board, which meant a Trident Realm victory 4-3. Sort of, because let's have a look again. Let's have a look at that line from the halfway line. Yeah, I don't think that's 100% in. However, his intention was clearly to get it in, so yeah. Look. Okay, so I tried him on victory. That was great. Really enjoyed this match. Arthur is a great opponent. He's really humorous, nice guy. Really fun playing against an army that it just keeps knocking you around all over the place. What really helped us, I think, during the battle was declaring our intentions. So this is my learning, what I learned. Saying, I am doing this for this reason. I am turning this unit so you cannot charge, do you agree? Because then, the door is open to say, well, actually, I can charge and this is why, rather than leaving it for an argument later. I need to resist rushing in. Losing that Dragon unit that early on was silly. I didn't need to do that, really. I was just kind of so keen to use my new chaff and show that I knew how to use it. Shamblers, on the other hand, are freaking awesome. Even if your opponent forgets to attack them, I think they're a really nice little unit. High defense, not that expensive. Yeah, I like it. I really struggle. I struggle still with the dragon. Quite, his breath attack. People go, breath attack's really strong. That's why it's been nerfed. It's only 12 inches. Getting him into a place where he can do a 12-inch attack is pretty difficult if he's not going to be rushed the next turn. He's got 10 attacks. Yeah, I don't know. I still need to practice more with it, so I know exactly what I'm doing. And that was it. Thanks for watching. Excitingly, we've got a couple of matches coming up with like real people and actual models, so we're gonna have some proper photos soon. Hopefully a bit more exciting. And yeah, look forward to talking to you soon. Goodbye.